Hey, what's going on, everybody? What's happening? I'm going to give you guys time to come into the conversation. So go ahead and get comfortable, and everybody gather around the fireplace because we are going to have a great conversation, something unlike anything that you will see anywhere else in any media outlet, any platform, anywhere. I've got Dr. Claud Anderson here. Dr. Claud Anderson, as many of you know, he's the author of the books Black Labor, White Wealth, Powernomics, Dirty Little Secrets 1 and 2. And the Black History Reader. And Dr. Anderson is joining us today on Thanksgiving, which I appreciate so much because he's thinking about you guys 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So without further ado, I'd like to ask my friend Dr. Anderson, how you doing today, sir?
Hey, and I can't wait to get cold that turkey and that ham and boy, and I'll take those two over getting that damn Popeye chicken.
Y'all hear that? So please tell Dr. Anderson that we don't need him eating no Popeye's chicken. We need you here. We need you. that Popeye's, that's a what do they call it? A weapon of mass destruction. All right. So everybody, as you come in, please shout out the city that you're from, and also please hit the thumbs up button. And we're gonna go ahead and get our conversation started. So Dr. Anderson, let me ask you this. I wanted to, I was looking forward to talking to you today, particularly given that we have Thanksgiving, we have Black Friday, and you know Black history as well as anybody. And I was curious in terms of, Thanksgiving. One thing you said before we got on the air is that there's almost nothing that's happened in American history that Black people don't play a part in. And so I guess starting with Thanksgiving, with you as a history expert, what goes through your mind when it comes to Black folks and Thanksgiving?
A lot of things, you know. First of all, it's the symbolism associated with Thanksgiving, and most of it is totally incorrect. Period. That's why I've said in all my speeches and 60 years of researching and all my books, and which I told Black folks to go buy all 5 books. Some buy it, some don't. Some buy and don't read. But anyway, I told them anything they want to know about Black history is in those 5 books called a library pack, which you've been pushing for them. And so they don't read it. But there's a direct connection between almost any holiday, but you mentioned Thanksgiving. And now typically right now, this is Thanksgiving Day. Now we celebrate Thanksgiving right now as for instance, as a religious holiday to give thanks to God for the bounty and for the blessings of the year and all those kind of things. And they always go back and relate that to pilgrims going back through history. But there's a direct link with that in Black folks and nobody ever tells you about, but it's in my books. And so consequently, we start talking about Black history. It's well, Dr. Anderson, that in the symbolism, you got pilgrims coming to the country, and you got turkeys, and you got these people that are celebrating it for religious reasons and giving thanks for bounty and blessings. That has nothing to do with Thanksgiving. It was never attached to Thanksgiving. Did you know that? Okay, see, when the pilgrims came here, pilgrims came here supposedly looking for religion opportunity to what? To go out in the woods and pray. That's misleading. That was a lie too. But pilgrims, so everything right now is a credit to the pilgrims coming to the country. But pilgrims didn't have anything to do with that. Pilgrims came to this country basically for a short while looking for religious opportunities, but quickly that manifests itself into economic enrichment personally for them. They started looking for economic enrichment based on getting land and being able to start using Blacks to generate wealth. That's what happened. There was no pilgrims involved with that aspect of it. As a matter of fact, in terms of Thanksgiving season and holiday, that didn't come from the pilgrims. Indians had been celebrating what's called the harvest festival way before pilgrims, and for centuries before the pilgrims ever landed in this country. That was a tradition that was going back to what's it called, the August festival by pilgrims. And that's why I tried to tell Black folk last year, we're gonna have a harvest festival every year for Black folk to celebrate, because Indians was using that harvest thing too, for harvest festival day for them. And so, but the pilgrim, that was the first time there was any association with pilgrims and Indians. And after that, it totally disappeared. It never showed up anymore. And that was way back in the 1600s. The next time there was any recognition for Thanksgiving holiday, that came from George Washington. George Washington felt that there should be a national holiday somehow to give people a chance to celebrate coming together in the country. But he was pushing it strictly for nationalistic reasons. And so he wanted a national Thanksgiving for being in this country. That started with George Washington. That started way back, I guess, sometime about the 1700s. Then that went for a while, but nobody paid. It was not a national holiday, even though he mentioned we should have a national holiday. The first time it ever came up in its substance was with Abraham and Lincoln. That came up in about 1863. And that's where the connection hit Black folk in 1863. And here's why it hit Black folk in 1863. President Lincoln proclaimed that we should have a special day for a national holiday. That was in 1863. The irony there is that that's the same year that he sat around came up this whole thing about the Emancipation Proclamation, which is strictly symbolic. He picked that same year. There was never any Thanksgiving Day to anything up to that point. George Washington said we should have one. Pilgrims and the Indians were pushed out of it. But in 1863, and that's the first time that they started talking about having a national holiday. And that's the year that when Black folk got a chance to be recognized and associated with it. And that's because of Lincoln proclaimed have a national holiday for Thanksgiving, period. And that was all, but when that emancipation went through, that was the first time that Black folk in the history of this nation ever had a chance to give thanks for anything. That was the first chance that they were quasi-free. Was in 1863, the same year that President Lincoln proclaimed a Thanksgiving holiday. And Black folk were quasi-free and from servitude and from chains. That's the first link you got between Blacks and Thanksgiving. That occurred in 1863 with President Lincoln. Now that held true pretty much up through all the way up to the present days following that. Lincoln then began to push it but he was pushing it for nationalistic reason. He wasn't even pushing it as a holiday. What he wanted was to do was create a national fervor in the country. After the Civil War in 1860s, Lincoln was looking for any excuse to create a nationalistic fervor, because his whole intent was nothing about freeing slaves. It was accidentally and ironic that that's the time they freed slaves. What he wanted was to strengthen the Union, to bring the Union back together. And so that Thanksgiving holiday was proclaimed, and the same year the Black folk got free. Now the great irony to that was that at that point in time that everybody wanted to be able to celebrate that holiday, but they was not for freedom and religion. There was no religion. It was the fact that they wanted to find out and create it for a national consumer holiday. Who was the biggest consumers at that point in time? It was Black folk. Black folk were the biggest consumers at that point in time in history. Let me stop right there. I'm gonna come back and find out if you got any questions at that point. Then I'm gonna go back and pick it up right quick. I know you're on a short time thing today.
Oh no, I'm really intrigued by that. And so, and by the way, everybody, if you just came in here, I'm talking to Dr. Claud Anderson. Dr. Claud Anderson is the author of the books Powernomics, Black Labor, White Wealth, The Black History Reader, and Dirty Little Secrets 1 and 2. Given that it's Black Friday and holiday spending is happening, it's going to be big. I hope you'll support Black businesses by going to powernomics.com. That's powernomics.com, and go pick up the complete. What it's not called the Power Pack. It's called, what's it called again? The Library Pack. The Library Pack, which has all 5 of his books plus a DVD for just $99. So go check out powernomics.com. Please add Black businesses to your Black Friday spending. Also, please hit the thumbs up button. If you haven't hit the thumbs up button, please do that. It's really important. So Dr. Anderson, let me ask you, when you talk about Black people being the biggest consumers, the holidays are here.
Before you go there, let me pick up where I left off. So that point is coming up.
Please.
Okay. See, that's why I said back in 1863, when he claimed he wanted a national day for Thanksgiving, and he picked the same year that they emancipated Black people in the country. But he was doing it not for religious reason that you're doing it for now, for going out having turkeys and dinners and giving thanks and bounty and all that stuff, for having a good year. That's not what it was for. It started out just to try to have a nationalistic fervor, try to reunite the United States together again between the North and the South, so they could all come together as a team and a nation again. That was the purpose of it. There was nothing about Indians, nothing about pilgrims, nothing about turkeys at that point in time. And that was in 1863. Now, a few years later, after black folk had been free by 1865, guess what popped up at that time? They started making it a national holiday. Then they started talking about pilgrims again. They formed this symbolic concern to cover the nationalistic attitude in this country following the Civil War. And that was the first time they started bringing Indians back into the picture, and also bringing the turkeys into the picture. And so that's also this, ironically, that's when they brought blacks back into it. Again, because there was that prior to that time, there'd never been any blackness associated with Thanksgiving, but that was the same year that it occurred in the country. But the thing about it is that that the commercializing it, because of the slave free and the slaves, black people were the major consumers, but never produced anything. So that was how it became a commercial enterprise. And so and after they brought back the blackness into it because of the freeing of the slaves, that's how you linked it up with called Black Friday. You know what follows? You know what follows the Thanksgiving Day? It's Black Friday, because they said we're going to make this a commercial opportunity now, and rather than a religious holiday. And so and the people that own little and produce nothing and did all the buying and consumer were black folk. And so they usually got 5 million black folk out there were producing nothing, had no businesses. Everybody wanted their patronage. Everybody wanted their patronage. And so now just free 5 million black folk. They don't have any businesses, and they're 100% consumers and zero producers. It became a commercial opportunity at that point in time. And so that's why so the whole promotion was to go after, following Thanksgiving, to go after that black dollar. And so now that's why they call it Black Friday, because following Thanksgiving, every business is going to be trying to sell as much product as they can. But they don't know why they became Black Friday. It became Black Friday because when it started out, there was no Thanksgiving, no religious thing. It had association with the Emancipation Proclamation. And now they commercialize it. They want to sell everything on a Black Friday, and pretend that they want to draw in as many blacks as possible to get those black dollars.
All right. So given what you were just saying, Dr. Anderson, about, and everybody, if you just tuned in, please make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Very important, hit the thumbs up button. Also, please hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when we go live. Also, I'm speaking with Dr. Claud Anderson. His books, I hope you guys know his books: Powernomics, Black Labor, White Wealth, The Black History Reader, Dirty Little Secrets 1 and 2. These are books that every family should have in your household, because we tell you guys you got to educate your own kids. This should be one of your master educators. You don't have to worry about the teachers at school. You got teachers right here. Now, Dr. Anderson, let me ask you about this. So with Black Friday coming, and everybody's excited about all the shopping that we get to do. And I was thinking about something. I'd like to get your thoughts on this concept. A lot of times you'll see people spend a lot of money, and usually the money is being spent at white businesses. We tend to boycott black businesses. Everybody boycotts black businesses, including black people, unfortunately. But there are some of us who are trying to wake up out of that. So I applaud the people that are. But when all this money is being spent, I'm going to go try to see if I can find the data, but I'm going to speculate that black folks are giving away probably $10 billion during the holidays, probably more than that. It's an interesting idea to talk about this, because at the same time, that's against the backdrop of all the people that say black folks don't have any income. Excuse me, black people can't build nothing because we ain't got no money. We can't do nothing for ourselves because we can't afford it. We can't afford books, we can't afford education, but yet we can afford a big screen TV. You can't afford, training programs for your children, but you can't afford a new pair of Air Jordans, and it seems to me that when you're talking about, all this money that's flowing out, I think that's the perfect time to talk about the misdirection of whatever economic power we do have, the misdirection of that when it comes to putting money into the hands of other people instead of putting money into your own businesses and into your own community. Can you kind of speak to that a little bit and tell me what goes to your mind when I share that thought?
Yeah, see, right now, black folks right now have an annual disposable income. It makes it, I guess, somewhere around maybe $1 trillion and $1.2 trillion. That makes them about the 9th or 10th richest nation on earth if we would consider ourselves to be a nation. But out of that $1.2 trillion, they spend 98 to 99% of it outside of the community. It never bounces in their own community. It never goes into black business. Only about 2% of our annual disposable income is spent in black businesses. That's why I was going back again, back to 1863, when again, they got that whole thing identifying with freeing the slaves. And what they want to do then, they want to put a religious tone to it, but initially it came into existence based on an economic issue and reuniting the North and the South through patriotism. And then they had to find some way of capitalizing on it. And then by 1870, as I said, they brought back the Pilgrim and attached that to the Thanksgiving celebration symbolism. Then by 1890, they brought back the Indians and attached the Indians to it. And that was after 300 years before Pilgrims and Indians ever got attached to Thanksgiving. The only thing was attached to it then was just black folk. You had 5 million black folk going out into the world. They freed black folk, 5 million black folk with no land, no weapons, no tools, no home, no business, no income, no institution, no education, nothing, and set them free. They're gonna start earning income. They want to recapture that money, period. Now, they can't spend it in the black community, so what happens is everybody had a business guy saying, well, we make that Black Friday and try to recapture that money. Black Friday came as a direct result of going back to 1863 when Lincoln proclaimed we have to have a national holiday based on patriotism, but they want to bring the country together. And if you're gonna pimp somebody for money, you couldn't pimp it in the white community. They went after the black community. They were the biggest consumers at that time that had no damn businesses. You didn't have the Asians, the Arabs, the Hispanics, and other people in the country spending dollars. It was only black folk. That's why it was called Black Friday. They didn't call it Arab Friday, Indian Friday, or Hispanic Friday. It was Black Friday. That's where the blackness came in from. And so, but blacks don't know this because most of them don't read and understand this. So they go out and say, well, I'll spend my money, and they're gonna ship it out of the black community. They impoverish themselves every darn day. So tomorrow on Black Friday, all these blacks gonna line up to drive their money into major stores that are owned by everybody but black folk. It has nothing to do with religion, it had nothing to do with Pilgrims, it had nothing to do with Indians. It became the best a year that black folk were emancipated, and President Lincoln declared we have to have a national holiday, and they converted over being an economic issue because they were freeing all those slaves. Somebody had to pick up that money. 5 million blacks running free and making a little money.
Wow. So okay, so it's funny, you talk about that, and everybody, I'm talking to Dr. Claud Anderson, and we're talking about Thanksgiving spending, Black Friday, and everything else, Black history as well. And just as a reminder to everybody, don't forget, you can go to powernomics.com, and I hope that you'll do some Black Friday investing. I really think that one step we could take as a community is, instead of thinking about the holidays as a time just to spend, I think you want to know the difference between spending and investing. Spending is when you give money away and you get something that's of low value back. Like Dr. Anderson calls it the doctrine of unequal exchange, right? You give them $300, they give you a pair of shoes. That pair of shoes lasts you, for a few weeks. Instead, I encourage you to still go out and use your money. Just use it for some things that are going to benefit you. Maybe buy some shares of stock. I don't know if you guys know, you can buy shares of stock on Cash App right now. I don't know if you guys know that, but get some shares of stock for your kids. Invest in your loved ones, invest in your relationships, right? Invest in your community. Go to some black businesses and spend some money. Very, very important. So Dr. Anderson, one thing that's funny about Black Friday to me too is when they talk about the mindset of the consumer. Spending is a psychological thing. They get a lot of our money because our self-esteem is low, and we a lot of times we'll go buy things in order to feel better about who we are as black people. And one of the things I think is really funny, and I want to point this out to everybody, and I get your thoughts on it, is I'll hear people go out Black Friday shopping, and they'll come back with let's say they come back with a $400 TV, and they say, well, this TV used to be was $800 last week. Look at how much money I saved. I saved $400. And I'll just say to them, yeah, I like the TV. It's fine to buy TVs, but you didn't actually save $400. You spent $400, right? You didn't save nothing. You spent $400. And I think that sometimes we don't understand that spending and saving are not the same thing. Even if they, if somebody is going to charge you this much and they only charge you that much, then you're thinking I saved this much. Well, really, you spent that much. Saving means that whatever amount of money you had before, you have more money later. Spending means whatever amount of money you had before, you have less money later. And so I think it's really important to make sure that we understand that, that there's no such thing. When people talk, they use terms like spending power. Well, I don't think there's a lot of power in the community that spends all this money. or being a savvy consumer. That's almost like saying that you want to be a high price hoe. Like if you want to, like I want to be a savvy prostitute. You're still a prostitute. A savvy prostitute is still a hooker, right? So I think that we got to kind of let go of some of that consumer culture, not to the point where you're not going to keep consuming, but you have to really think about the fact that you're missing the most important part of the equation. You must also be producers. You must also be investors. And then if you want to consume after, that's fine. So the way I see spending money, Dr. Anderson, is it's a lot like this. As everybody spends money, everybody consumes. I think that's okay to do. But it's a lot like, investing is like your body, where you have to have muscle and bone. And the consuming is like fat. So it's okay to have some fat. Everybody has fat. But if you have all fat with no muscles and no bone, then you have no body. You have no strength, right? So I think that for Black people, the issue is not, don't go spend any money anywhere with anybody. It is to make sure that you have as much muscle and bone as you have fat. Because right now we're missing the muscle and bone. We're missing the investing and the producing that should underlie the spending. Does that make sense, Dr. Anderson? What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, it does make a lot of sense. But again, as I keep relating back to these points, even though when I gave you all that long history, it was sort of, convoluted because I was trying to get through it very quickly. But again, I go back and I want to stop with Lincoln's proclamation, because that was the first time there was an association with Blackness with Thanksgiving. As I said earlier, it started off with the Pilgrims, and Pilgrims changed themselves pretty quickly to call themselves no longer Pilgrims. They call themselves colonists to get away from it. Then European whites. They moved through a whole process. There were no Pilgrims. Pilgrims only lasted maybe 30 or 40 years in this country at most. Nobody used that word anymore. Pilgrims disappeared. You go down and see all these drawings about Pilgrims chasing a turkey and all that. That's BS. They ran that game. And the Indians had a holiday, again, the Harvest Day, and then they pushed them out of it. That wiped that out. And George Washington said we should have a national day, and everybody recognized it. Then it said Thanksgiving Day. But later on, it took about 1863 before any president came out and actually proclaimed a national holiday. That came from Lincoln in 1863, which tied identically with his Emancipation Proclamation, because now you're going to set almost 5 million people free to run all over the country to generate some wealth and resources. They had no businesses. Point. I want Black folk to connect these dots. If we talk about it in the present day context, it doesn't make any sense. You got to understand the dots, connecting the dots. And when they freed those nearly 5 million people, Dr. Watson, they had no businesses. They were making a little money here and there, making income. They had no place to spend it except they had to spend it in the white communities or non-Black owned communities. And they had an annual disposable income, so they wanted it. So at that point, everything, because we talked about the freedom of Black folk and having some economics, then everything shifted. How are you going to capture that money? And so when Reconstruction ended, and it ended because whites ended it intentionally. Nobody yet always talk about Reconstruction. Dr. Watkins, the definition, reconstruct. What does reconstruct mean? It means change what the hell you've been doing. You did something wrong. And when you freed those Blacks, you want to go back and get that money, because now they're going to be generating money, and they had no means of catching it. They couldn't collect it and catch it. So at that point in time, there was a Blackness attached to the Thanksgiving holiday. They had no place to spend their monies. And as they began to push that around, then they brought back, by 1870, they brought back the Pilgrims again that had been missing for 300 years. And also by 1890, they stuck a few Indians in there along with the Pilgrims, and that to give it an association. So by now in the 21st century, everybody associates Thanksgiving with turkeys, Pilgrims, Indians, and giving thanks for bounty and for kindness and goodness with other people, for the blessings you receive. That was fabricated. But by the same token, now everybody went after the Black dollar, and they because they had consumer dollars. Now, consumerism, there is no power in consumerism, as you just identified. Consumerism is a weakness. It's a weakness. When you consume, the word consumerism comes from the word to consume. To consume means to be eaten alive. It'd be wasted away. And that's why the people back in the old days had cancer in the lungs. They called it consumption. Consumption means cancer was eating them up. Commercially, that the consumerism is a cancer, Dr. Watkins. Let me make that clear to you. It means you're being eaten alive. And out of every dollar you get, you spend 98% of it outside your own community. You're impoverishing yourselves. And so also they set up a special Friday called Black Friday to follow the blackness that came into Thanksgiving. So everybody can go out and work collectively to recapture that money that was going into black folks' hands all year long or after holidays. It is a consumerism that is bad for black folk. What black folks should be saying is that, hey, if I want to celebrate anything for Thanksgiving, I'm gonna spend that money on my own people and our own businesses, because it's a weakness, it's a disease, and you're gonna lose. You get that money that should have been bouncing in your own communities 8 to 12 times before it left. But now everybody's gonna get it on Black Friday. You're gonna go back to your black community with a bunch of consumer products that you don't need and shouldn't have spent your money on. I'm trying to concise that up for you very quickly.
Well, I like the way you broke it down, and so, you know, Dr. Anderson, and I want everybody that's listening to really hear this. Not everybody's going to listen. You know, what other people are going to do is they're going to spend all their money. They're going to complain about being broke. That's what we become masters at creating our own problems and recreating those problems. So you know, I'm sorry, I hate to say it to you guys, but if they gave us a reparations check tomorrow, that money will be gone in a few weeks, because they've mastered the art of getting your money and making you think that spending money is a source of power when it's not. Now, here's what's interesting, Dr. Anderson. I spend a lot of time thinking about that term consumer when you talk about consumer. And my analysis of that term is this, right? Consumers are an important part of the economy, right? Consumers drive the economy. You know, and corporations know this. That's why they try to get people to get these credit cards and everything else. And every year they're trying to get Black Friday spending to go up, holiday spending to go up. And what's happening is that the American public is taking on the burden of that growth, right? Because Wall Street need growth, they need profitability in order to keep the stock price up. So they're always looking for ways to get consumers to buy. So spending's going up, up, up. Debt is ballooning because wages are not going up to match the spending, right? Workers in real dollar terms are making the same amount of money they were making 10, 15 years ago, you know. And so here's what's interesting, right? Even in that situation, even if you're white, being nothing but a consumer puts you on the wrong side of the equation. It becomes a bad type of capitalism where basically you got the wolves eating the sheep. The wolves are eating the sheep, and the wolves need the sheep to you know, keep serving themselves up so they don't die, right? The wolves need the sheep in order to live because the sheep are their source of nutrition, right? So here's what's interesting about Black people, though. That system is already bad for white people, but it's especially bad for Black people for this reason. If I'm white and I go out and every year I'm spending like a fool, I'm buying, you know, Ford trucks, refrigerator from General Electric, buying, you know, shoes from Nike, whatever it is, buying coffee from Starbucks. Because I'm white and because I'm part of the white economic system, there is a benefit that kind of can indirectly come to me in that, you know, the people that get hired for those jobs working for those companies tend to be other white folks, right? The ones who get, you know, promoted, become managers. So I might work at Ford and spend money on Ford trucks. So I'm giving to the economy that's benefiting me. It becomes a circle, right? Some of that, not all of it's coming back, but some of it's coming back to me because I benefit. If I'm white and I live in a suburb and there's a business that I'm spending money with, they're going to support things in that community, you know, whatever it is, right? Or if I go to university, they're going to make donations to that school, right? Black people, unfortunately, are not in that ecosystem, right? Black people spend money on white businesses, and those white businesses go and disappear, and they take the money and they support white neighborhoods with that. They're not, you know, when you're spending money at that Arab business in your Black neighborhood, those Arabs are not supporting the local soccer team or helping build a better public school, or, you know, or creating jobs for people in that community or opportunities for people in that community. They're taking that money and shipping it out. So going back to your point, you know, and I want everybody that's really listening to understand what I'm saying here. You know, spending and consuming, it's not the best move for you. You shouldn't be 100% consumer, but consumption does actually benefit, you know, the economy to a point if you are a part of that system. You know, like if we're going back and forth and we have an ecosystem, I do something for you, you do something for me, we have a quid pro quo. Black people are not a part of that. Black people are in that group where they're going to suck you dry and use you up and feel like they have to give nothing back because we don't ask for anything back. We don't demand anything back from these companies that are taking all of our money. And as a result, we end up wondering why everybody else's wealth is growing and our wealth is staying still. Dr. Anderson, please, I'd love to get your analysis on that. Thank you for letting me get that out.
Well, see, Black, you hit it on the head. See, Black folks fail to understand that we are not in the system, really. We're outside and underneath the system. That's why the position of Black folk, we're in a ranking order of acceptability and power in this nation. It's based on a skin color, flow, vertically ordered, white, yellow, brown, black. Your condition in this country has not changed socially, economically since 1863, when you came out of slavery. That's why I went back to 1863 again, 1865, and tell you that you're still on the bottom. That's why in the first question in the Black History Reader, to let you know that you're in a social construct, social economic construct that was contrived, set up back during the colonial period, where Black folk will be locked on the bottom. Now, to change these conditions, they have not changed in 460 years for a reason. You cannot change the condition unless you have power. Now, what is power? Power is the ability to move things in spite of resistance. I'm gonna say it to you again. Power is the ability to remove things, objects, or people in spite of resistance. Blacks don't have any power. What's the greatest power? Is wealth power. If you don't have any wealth, when coming out of slavery in 1865, I told you about Lincoln with this little game about Thanksgiving. At that point in time, you had 1/2 of 1% of the wealth in the nation, which was, and I mentioned that you basically had nothing of any substance. You had no power, no wealth. And here you are today, you got the same 1/2 of 1%. You don't have no wealth power to change anything. So what Black folks should be saying is that how do we get wealth power to change? The power comes from wealth. And where does that come from? It comes from being able to produce things, hold on to things, spend your money with your own people, make it bounce your currency around in your own people's hands and get power and wealth. We have never done that. The Blacks came pretty close to doing it from the Civil War up to about 1920s, but then they got wiped out by the Depression. Black folk never practiced group economics. They don't have that kind of social cohesiveness. They've been taught not to patronize and buy from their own people. And so Black folk right now are not playing the game. They can't win, they can't change it. They don't have the power, but yet they spend their time talking about voting for this person, voting for that person. The issue for Black folk in 2020, let me talk about something that disappoints me with my own people. The issue in voting, never, Dr. Watson, should be who you're gonna vote for. Who the hell cares who you vote for? Who you vote for ain't worth a damn quarter. The issue in voting, I'm telling you now, is one of the few Blacks that ran campaigns as a manager for governors and presidents. You don't vote for the damn candidate. You vote for, the question should be, what are you voting for? Not who you're voting for. I'm gonna say it to you again. The question should not be who you're voting for, it should be what are you voting for? You should be voting to get them to correct those things that were put in place following slavery, where they had the maldistribution of all the resources and you only control nothing. So you vote for whoever promises, delivers the most benefits and correct the damn system against Black folk. White folks don't care anymore. They figure that you're fools to say, hey, we done everything we could for you Black folk. We set you free. We didn't give you a damn thing. We set you free with no clothes, no home, no tools, no animals, no wealth, no land, no resources, no education. You can't compete. And you've been there all these years. You got to go after that. And so consequently, Thanksgiving is a sucker by. It says now that you've now acquired about 1.1 or 1.2 trillion dollars. Now spend that with us. And because it coincides with your separation from slavery and emancipation, that's why we call it Black Friday. Bring that money to us. No, you're not taking it to Black businesses, and you're empowering the people who are exploiting you. That's why your money goes out of your community immediately. And so what you be telling Black folk is that the person who sells and produces has the power. Whoever produces has the power. I heard people say, well, Dr. we got public relation firms and businesses talked about Black consumer power. There's no such thing as no damn Black consumer power. That's a Black consumer weakness. The person that's got the damn power is the person who you're selling it, who you're buying it from, and who's selling it. That's why, as a matter of fact, simplified, it's like a crack addict. A crack addict going around saying, Dr. I disagree with you. I got consumer power. Hell, I buy $10,000 a week worth of damn crack. And that's I spend $10,000 a damn week on crack, on cocaine and marijuana. I said, no, that's a weakness. That person that's selling you that bull, he's the one that got the power. The guy that's selling you crack cocaine, and selling you marijuana and the opioids. That's who got the power. You're the weak one. You're consuming yourself, and it's eating your ass alive. And so if you're going to change this, you got to say now, why would they call it Black Friday? They call it Black Friday because it goes all the way back to this damn Reconstruction period. They never corrected it. And now black folks still go out and they ignore all these things. They ignore it. and they don't try to change. I'm going to go out and buy some more white refrigerators and stoves and then spend all my money instead of saying, no, I'm going to save my money and amass it. And then I'm going to take and go back and rebuild my communities and create businesses and industries where we can produce our own products and for our own businesses. And so that our money will bounce around 7, 8 to 12 times and produce jobs, income, wealth, power, resources, and opportunities for our own damn people. I can go without a refrigerator. I can buy ice down at a damn store or something. I can go out. I don't have to have a new TV. I don't have to have a damn cell phone every damn year. Our people are committing economic suicide.
All right.
Black Friday is going to sum it up for them tomorrow.
Well, you know what I'll say is, and by the way, I want to ask everybody, give me a yes or no if you understand what we're saying. Give me a yes or no if you're following this, if this makes sense to you, if you think this is an important issue. And I asked you to give me a yes or no on this because we kind of have to get it through our heads, through our thick heads, that a lot of your problems that you have as Black people stem from what you do when you're handed power. You know, if you think about it, think about it like a basketball game where the team can't figure out, why do we keep losing the game? Why do we keep losing every game? Well, every time they hand you the ball, you give the ball right back to the opponent. So if every time you get the ball, you hand the ball back to the defense, then you're never going to score any points. You're never going to be able to win anything, and they're going to blow you away every single time. So there has to be a point where you got to learn to play offense and you must learn to play defense. It's as basic as that. Economics is just like basketball or football, where you to be a winning championship team, you must be able to play offense and you must be able to play defense. What is offense? Offense means that you must engage in this century. Our number one most important term that we must use for our children and for each other in this community. And Dr. Anderson is the one who gave us this term. So I'm gonna give the full credit to my mentor on this, the guy that I love and respect so much. Resources. You must obsess yourself with the acquisition of resources, because when you have resources, you get to be the producer and you're not always the consumer. You can still consume, but you're also producing. So you're participating in the economic landslides that occur every holiday season. So that's how you get your offense. You accumulate resources, and the resources allow you to sell products and to produce and to invest and all these other things. How do you play? What does playing defense mean? Defense means that just like when you're playing football, the best teams in the NFL that win, in the NBA that win championships are the ones that are stingy on defense. Stingy means that you don't get a point. Every point you get, you're going to have to work for it. That means, so for Black people, we must be stingy when it comes to our economic defense. We must be stingy with our dollars. We must be stingy with our votes. That means if you get my vote, you better earn it 3 times before I consider giving it to you once. If you want my dollar, you better give me something back for my dollar, or you ain't getting none of my dollars. And in fact, I'm gonna try to keep my dollars in the family every chance I get, right? Stingy. So the best communities, and I'm gonna shut this down after this. I'm gonna let Dr. Anderson close this out here. The best communities that win championships economically are the ones that have the best offense. Look at the Jewish community. What's their offense? They own property. They own stocks and bonds. They own businesses. They're always thinking about the accumulation of resources and maintaining those resources. They play great defense. You go up in a Jewish community and try to go get a dollar and see how hard you're gonna have to work for that dollar. They will make you work for the rest of your life just to get a dollar out of their pocket, and they still won't give you the dollar. So they play great offense and great defense, and that's why they win championships. They're only 2%, less than 2% of the population, but they control 10 times more than we do. That don't make no damn sense. Y'all, you're too smart for that. We're too great. This is the holiday season is the opportunity to do this. That's why we're having this discussion. So Dr. Anderson, I'd like for you to close us out if you could. And also I want to remind everybody before you close us out, powernomics.com is where Dr. Anderson's books are. I would love for everybody to train your children on Powernomics concepts. Take it from me. It's very important for you to understand this. Powernomics, Black Labor, White Wealth, the Black History Reader, Dirty Little Secrets 1 and 2. Those books have keys to understanding America that you will not get in any public school. You will not get this at any university. You will not get this at any HBCU, but it is important to understand this because that's how you win. So powernomics.com is the website. I hope everybody will do some of their Black Friday investing, not Black Friday shopping, their Black Friday investing by going to powernomics.com and supporting this wonderful Black-owned business that has done so much for the community. So Dr. Anderson, I hope that was, I hope I laid it out well enough for you to finish us off here.
Right. Thank you for that. And tell them that they go to powernomics.com, they should buy the library pack. They get all 5 of those books plus a DVD on how to educate Black children, get all of that for $99. And that gives a home library, which means that when electromagnetic storm occurs or a nuclear explosion goes off, all electronics is going to disappear and get wiped out. But the books will be in your home and in your library and in your school. You can't wipe those out. And so I'm saying, get that library pack and say that I don't care whether the schools are not teaching it or not. I have enough power to make them teach Black history the way it should be taught. But I got a library pack in my home called the Powernomics Library Pack, period. And that's what we're pushing now is Powernomics. And the question you're raising right now is this: if they follow the Powernomics principles, as you said over and over again for years, then they learn how to build these communities. And in those communities, they build their own businesses and their own industries. And they build their own businesses and own industries. They produce their own services and goods for the necessities of life that Black folk need, just like whites. That's everything from drawers, clothes, eyeglasses, whatever it is, shoes. They buy their own products. And once we build those communities and start becoming producers of products and services and goods, then we begin to acquire wealth. And once we acquire that wealth and be a competitive society, guess what? Then every Thanksgiving or Christmas that we're gonna have, instead of a Black Friday, we're gonna have whites come into our neighborhoods to buy our products that we are producing. You know, we're gonna have it then called White Friday. I want to every holiday, we have a holiday for White Friday or White Saturday, whatever it is, for whites to come into Black communities and drop that damn money. So y'all, that's what the Powernomics principle is about. Make them come and take and drop their money in your neighborhoods. Brand new practice of Black Friday going back around Thanksgiving that was started, had nothing to do with the religion because the Pilgrims killed that off right quick. Thanksgiving had nothing to do with religion. And they haven't further to do it with Pilgrims for a long time, not even Indians. It came out of the Blackness because Black folk were the major consumers. It came out in 1863. They were free to roam, they had money. They wanted to capture that money from them. They're still doing it on what they call Black Friday. And so, and I bet you Popeye's restaurant will be right there selling those big sandwiches to Black folk for those little Popeye sandwiches, okay?
Well, Black Friday should not include fried chicken. So, well, then again, maybe it does. I don't know, but Friday don't mean fry your chicken and go to Popeyes. So y'all stay away from that Popeyes chicken sandwich. But then again, I ain't gonna judge you. We are not here to judge you. We're not here to be hard on you. We want you to enjoy your holiday. We want you to know that we love you, and we really am honored that you guys hang out with us. And because not everybody is interested in trying to make the community better. Everybody else, you know, for a lot of people, this makes them uncomfortable. They don't want to have the hard conversations. They don't want to talk about solutions because it's always easier to sit back and complain. We're not here to complain. We're not here to sit around and be oppressed. We're not here to complain about oppression. We're here to actually fight back against oppression and eventually achieve power in the community. So you guys do me this favor, please type in powernomics.com into the chat so other people can see it. Also, please give Dr. Claud Anderson a digital round of applause. Thank this man for what he's doing for the community. He's the economic godfather of Black America and really of the world, and as far as I'm concerned. And I hope you all will take the time to thank him for all the hard work he's done on everything from reparations to Black economics to building our community for the last 50, 60 years. So they're all thanking you, Dr. Anderson. They're all giving you, they're all doing these little clapping emojis. So also, most importantly, I hope you'll consider going to powernomics.com and supporting his business. Please do that. And you guys also know in the Black Business School, we're always here for you as well, theblackbusinessschool.com. So feel free to come over there. We got our business school for children. We won't steer you wrong. And if you feel unhappy for any reason, we always give you a 100% money back guarantee. So we want you to be happy, we want you to be fed, and we want you to win, and you will win if you continue with the right attitude. So God bless everybody. Thank you very much, Dr. Anderson. Wonderful to see you, my friend.
Okay, take care and tell them I love them, okay? Tell them enjoy that turkey and enjoy their company and their friends and their family, and I'll see them next time I come on your program.
Yes, sir. All right, I'll see you next week.
Okay,
All right,
care.
bye-bye now.